Engage.
Some movies are highbrow, some movies are lowbrow.
Welcome to Highbrow Lowbrow. I'm Josh Kirshenbaum.
I'm Cooper Gagan.
Each week we pick a topic and talk about two movies that fit that topic, one highbrow, one lowbrow. This week the topic is robots.
They're robots.
On the highbrow side, we've got Ex Machina.
Why did I say it like that?
Why did you just say? I
don't know. I don't know why I always feel like I have to chime in when you say the name of the thing.
I will say, I think robots as a word just does lend itself to funny pronunciations.
There's the whole robots. Where does robots come from?
I don't know. There's robots like saying like an old Jewish man comes from Futurama. Zoidberg always calls him a robot.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Right, which I've been watching a lot of Futurama lately. That show, freaking great.
Great show. I always hear that that's kind of Matt Groening's passion project, even more than The Simpsons. Or maybe it's that he has more creative control now.
Well, the story was that, and all like apocryphal is that like the downfall, in quotes, of The Simpsons happens around when Futurama comes because they launch Futurama, they pull a lot of the talent from Simpsons. Mm-hmm. So like those writers over there doing the weird Futurama stuff, Simpsons kind of like calcifies into what it is now. I think Futurama is like, I don't know, it's just like weird and dumb and fun. It's a little bit like Idiocracy, but like more loving, I guess.
Yeah.
Like their take is that everyone in the future is stupid, but that's kind of funny.
Yeah, and then I guess the other thing about the funny thing about Simpsons is that it was made as bumpers for the Tracy Ullman show.
Right.
So they were not really Matt Groening's babies.
Right. I mean, I've heard that he's mostly involved on like animation notes now.
Yeah.
Like at this point, there's like the old men of The Simpsons who like run it are so like, it's such an institution that like Matt Groening at this point is just more, when he gives his input, it's more just little things here and there. But I mean, I don't think he's like, James L. Brooks is there. Yeah. And like, I don't know, there's so many like classic Simpsons guys.
Have you ever read Life in Hell?
I haven't.
You know what it is though. It's his,
right. It's the thing he was going to, it was some story like he was going to pitch Life in Hell, but then he got worried that they were going to like some person he was pitching it to might have stolen it. So he like very quickly whipped up an idea about a family. Yeah.
So the way that he got brought on was that I can't remember which producer of the Tracy Ullman show, who was also Simpsons producer later. Mm-hmm. It might have been James L. Brooks or somebody.
Yeah.
They had this. There's this one Life in Hell comic called The L.A. Way of Death, and it's very funny. And he had that on his wall for years and years. Mm-hmm. And then one day they needed these bumpers for the show, and they said, "Well, why don't we bring in that guy?"
Oh.
And Matt Groening was worried they would steal Life in Hell, so he gave them The Simpsons instead.
And the culture was never the same. Like America saw a young boy occasionally telling his dad that his dad was dumb, and they just thought it was destroying. They thought it was destroyed. Like there was like moral panic about Bart Simpson, by my understanding, which is insane considering where we are as a culture.
I know he was the mildest. He's like a relatively good child.
Right. He's dumb and like a little bit destructive.
He's mischievous.
Right. Like he's it's all like very good hearted mostly.
Yeah.
Or like saying like cowabunga dude or like don't have a cow man is all very like. I think parents today, if their bad kids were just saying that, they'd be like, "This is the greatest kid." These are the great. So Ex Machina on the highbrow side. I don't remember if I got the.
Oh, I don't think we talked about that at all.
I think part with, and then the lowbrow side is Irobot.
Yep. The Will Smith vehicle.
Right, a movie
inspired by the Isaac Asimov book.
Now that's why I'm so excited about this episode is that Irobot the movie is literally a lowbrow version of a highbrow IP, or like I think Irobot the books are fairly. The stories.
If you can even really call it a version of Irobot, it uses the laws.
And the world and the characters.
Are the characters from the short story?
Yes.
Oh, I guess I haven't read it in a long time.
Sort of. So Susan Calvin, the one female character in this movie,
right?
She is the main character of all the iRobot stories. She's like this doctor of robotics,
right?
But specifically, her knowledge is of the three laws and how the logic works with the brain, and there are all these like logic. Like riddles, basically.
Yeah.
Although obviously, in her version of it in the movie is like not very similar to she's much more intense in the books. Like she's very much like hardcore.
Well, she's more of an intellectual. They're very heady. They're not books. There's 3 short stories, right?
It's more than 3. So they were a series of short stories that were collected into a collection of Irobot. They were previously published in all these, in Weird Tales or whatever.
Yeah, I've read one of those books a long, long time ago.
And there's multiple other, Irobot is like the big one, but there's other collections with other robot stories in them that are also referenced in this movie here and there.
Yeah.
But it's very much, but But you're right. It's very much just, I don't know how you get to this. Like someone had the iRobot IP or rights and they're like, wow, what if we did a big sci-fi action movie out of this concept that does not necessitate it?
I think that's exactly what happened.
But I don't know. Like I understand like the Will Smith of it all. I understand why once this was a big sci-fi action movie, he'd come on board because that was his bread and butter back in the day.
Yeah. And then I feel
how
like,
did it get there though?
And then I feel like it gets because Will Smith is giant and they thought we want this movie to make money, right?
No, like did he sign on to it and then be like, oh, well, now let's make this Will Smith movie? Or did someone out there be like, we have this iRobot book. We're not going to turn it into anything else. Let's see if we can get Will Smith type.
So that's what I was also thinking because the dialogue very much feels like it was written for Will Smith.
Yes. I mean,
it's so quippy and it doesn't or maybe he ad-libbed a bunch. I don't know.
I mean, 100% conjecture. And there are a lot of big movie stars who have their own writer teams who will like go in and like, you know, Tom Cruise, very famous, like Andrew Kevin Walker works for Tom Cruise. He'll like, I think he's the guy. No, I don't know. But the people who will like come in and like do a pass on, and do a pass on a screenplay for the actor who were working for the actor and being like, okay, like now, all right, Will, you know, we're going to go in, we're going to Will Smith this script up. So this is more of a Will Smith role. We're going to Tom Cruise this script up. I was not Andrew Kevin Walker's David Fincher's guy. I don't know who Tom Cruise's guy is. I'm sure somebody rich and famous.
But yeah, if anybody's going to have that, it's Will Smith.
Right. And that's his brand.
Yeah.
And he's very successful in protecting it.
That's really so I'm not the biggest Will Smith fan. Mm-hmm. And my main criticism of Will Smith is that he is such a movie star that he never reads as not Will Smith.
Right.
He never disappears into a character. And like, okay. Not so. I feel like the definition of a movie star versus an actor is a movie star is always kind of themselves. You're always there to see them.
Yeah.
But there is a continuum between that.
Oh, of course.
Like Leo DiCaprio, I'd say is on the movie star side, but he also does inhabit roles.
Right. I think You're never like it's never an autopilot Leo role.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's like it's in a wheelhouse you've seen before. He's not like you know, just doing Will Smith or whatever. You know, he's not doing a Will Ferrell. There's no forgettable Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, but conversely, he is always Leo. You're always very aware that it's Leo. Maybe just because he is such a big star.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's kind of somewhere on the movie star end of the continuum, kind of in the middle.
Right.
And Will Smith is like the absolute 0 Kelvin of being a movie star where he is never not Will Smith.
Right. He's very much a throwback to kind of classic Hollywood where, you know, Bogart was always Bogart or, you know, Cary Grant was always Cary Grant. And obviously there's exceptions to those actors especially, but like that's really, you're right. Like that's the Will Smith of it all. And I actually do agree that I think while I like iRobot a lot for what it is, I do think the Will Smith of it all is responsible for some of the moments that really don't work as well.
Yeah, because I often was wondering, what is this movie without Will Smith? I don't know if it's ever going to be a great movie, but it could be a more interesting, more nuanced character and performance if it was not Will Smith, which is not saying that Will Smith could not do that. It's that he won't do it.
Well, that's what's so interesting about Will Smith to me is that I think he is so much better at the things he doesn't seem to want to do. I think he's very, very good when he's vulnerable. I think he's really good in these kind of man on the run performances.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best parts of iRobot is when he's like actually like sad and emotional at his lowest point.
Yeah.
But so much of the Will Smith persona is he has to be the coolest guy in the room and he always has to be in control.
Yeah, he's always, every single moment, he has a snarky response to anything that's said to him. I mean, I have maybe 45 notes in this from me watching this movie, and it's mostly just talking about like Will Smith doing little Will Smith bits.
I know, and it's a shame because like every once in a while there's some that work for me, but there's like so many of them that are just like, I think this movie really gets into a moment where it really gels, where it's at this nice mix between like goofy action and fun, big sci-fi designs, and a little bit of the philosophy, not like a lot, but a little bit, because this is a lowbrow movie.
There is some, which I like, and it is a movie. We should also talk about what the other movie is at some point.
Ex Machina. Yeah,
we'll
get to it.
Here's my segue.
Okay, take us away.
This is a movie that actually is interested in the problem of what happens when a robot becomes conscious and it becomes a person.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is 100% what Ex Machina is about.
Right.
And if you haven't seen it, Ex Machina is about programmer Caleb, who wins a contest to spend a week at the estate of Nathan, his boss at a search engine oh, God damn it. No, we're keeping it in.
Throwback.
Yeah, me screwing up intros. Okay, he's got a boss. He goes to his boss's giant palatial estate that's in, I don't know, it's in like
in nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. I think it's
like
shot in Scandinavia or something, right?
That feels right.
So he gets invited to this really remote estate of his boss, who's basically the head of Google, but kind of like a broier Google head.
Yeah.
He's like the ultra tech bro.
Yeah.
And when he's there, he's told that he's there to test Ava, who's a highly advanced AI robot that may have achieved consciousness. They're not sure yet. He wants to find out. Mm-hmm. While he's there, Nathan's aggressive behavior, he's constantly drunk. He's kind of he's verbally and kind of physically abusive to robots.
He's very off-putting and chaotic in a way that like is really pushing.
He is
Caleb.
Boorish is like the best word for it. He's boorish.
Boorish.
And so then Caleb decides that he has to bust Ava out because he decides that she is conscious,
and she asks him she's like, you got to get me out of here.
Yeah, she starts kind of working on him to make him get her on her side, which is a big point that we'll have to talk about.
Yeah,
and he sets a plan into motion, and as soon as he does that, Ava kills Nathan and traps Caleb in the estate forever to die and escapes into the free world. Yeah. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Good movie.
It's such a wonderful movie.
Yeah, and this was your first time seeing it, right?
Yeah, this is one of those movies that there's so many of them where I haven't seen it, and every time somebody talks about it, they say I would love it.
That.
I know,
yeah.
And I always think I know that I know I would love this movie. I'm not seeing it because I think I'll hate it. It's just I haven't.
Right.
And I'm happy we did this one because we were going to do AI and then we pivoted last minute.
Right, and I think there was a good. I mean, I still want to see AI. I know. I think.
Well, have you never seen it?
I haven't.
I haven't. It's been so long for me that I might as well have
It's so funny because when it came out, AI, I mean, very brief AI talk. Like, it was known as like a big flop for Spielberg. Like, he was finished it for Kubrick. It was like this whole like, what was he thinking? And now like, the film community is really like rallied around AI as this like underrated, like underseen like masterpiece.
Yeah,
Spielberg's, which I'm very eager to see if that plays out in reality or if this is like film Twitter eating its own tail again.
I also feel like people are kind of desperate for a secret Spielberg. It's like mining for gold.
Oh yeah, it's my take on Bridge of Spies. That Bridge of Spies is like the secret. I mean, you want to have a contrarian take about the most uncontrarian director.
And also you want more Spielberg.
Yeah.
Right? Because Spielberg's great. As much as sometimes I find him to be, I don't know, kind of blockbustery and a little boring sometimes. Yeah, he's also great.
Yeah, he's got his stuff that's just straight down the middle, but then he's got like the new West Side Story, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's really,
I haven't, but I heard it's really
tremendous.
Good. Yeah.
Really, really good. So that's AI, a movie we're not talking about.
Right.
We are talking about Ex
We must
Machina.
begin every episode by talking at length about the movie we did not watch for it.
If we, how about this? If I watch AI and I like it, I'll come back and I'll mention it as a rec. At the end of the episode. That's a promise.
Oh, God damn it. I have to think of a rec.
I'm glad I'm seeding this now. I'm sneaking that in there.
Oh, man, but I can't think of it because I have to actually engage in this conversation. So, we'll come back.
I'm going to give you a few seconds to think of your rec because I'm going to talk about what Irobot is about.
Right.
Irobot is about, in the future, there's robots.
Wait, did we not do this yet?
We did not do the...
Holy shit.
We just jumped right in because of the Isaac Asimov and the Will Smith of it all, which I do want to get back to because the Will Smith is really fascinating.
Yeah.
So in the future, there's robots, and they're covered by the 3 laws of robotics. That kind of keeps them in line. Will Smith's character, his name is Del Spooner. He's a detective who hates robots because he's
robot racist.
He is, and people actually constantly call him out on it, and I think it's super funny because he's basically anti-toaster. So he hates robots because the robot once saved him from a car crash instead of a little girl who was also in a crash.
I need to talk about all this.
I know. So the creator of all robots kills himself and sets a program to call Spooner to investigate his death. Spooner finds Sonny, who is a robot that's like is not governed by the laws. It has other mysteries around him. So when Spooner looks into this mystery, he's attacked by robots, but no one believes him because they're like, oh, you're just telling stories about you hate robots because you're robo-racist. But then the robots start taking over the world, and we learn that the AI that runs the Robot Corp, or whatever it's called, Vicky, is controlling the robots so she can take over the world to protect humans from themselves, which I want to dig into because I hate that motivation, but I do like this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then they save the world. Spooner and Sonny, and they're like friends. They meet in the middle. They shake hands. I think there's even a shot with, like the human hand and the robot hand. Like,
yeah,
you can't see it at home. I'm pantomiming a handshake to Cooper.
It's like that meme of like the jacked white arm and the jacked black arm.
Right, which is Predator.
Yeah, well, it's an illustration, but yeah, it is from Predator.
Irobot is directed by Alex Proyas.
Ooh, shit! I didn't look up.
It's written. Ex Machina is written and directed by Alex Garland.
Yeah.
And Irobot is written by Jeff Vintar and Akiva Goldsman. We got to give credit to all the writers.
Right.
Will Smith. He's too. I don't know. It's
too cool.
I have this complaint with Tom Cruise a little bit.
I really think Will Smith and Tom Cruise are very similar, except for Tom Cruise had a history of having interesting movies. And
right.
Will Smith kind of doesn't.
Will Smith he's talked about that. Will Smith has talked about early in his career, just after Fresh Prince,
right.
where he had been. I think he was in 6 Degrees of Separation was around that time, and he had done some more standard movies, and he saw that big budget science fiction tinged movies were the future. He went to his agent and said, find me, if I don't care what they are, find me movies that are casting for that. And that's how he got into Independence Day and Men in Black and Wild Wild West.
And it was smart guy.
Oh yeah, he willed it into existence.
Yeah,
willed it,
Big Willie style.
Yeah.
It's like,
but
it's like that joke I love. It's like, we're was it 22 years into the new millennium?
Oh my God, what is that from?
I don't know, the internet.
Damn good joke. Yeah. But yeah, so Will Smith, you're right. So Tom Cruise had about a decade of really interesting artsy roles. He had Jerry Maguire, he had Magnolia, Born on the 4th of July, and Will Smith.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh yeah, Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, 1999 was the end of the. No, Minority Report, I guess, is the last. I think Tom Cruise movie. No, Collateral. Shit, there's a lot of good ass Tom Cruise movies.
I feel like it was once we started making the kind of soft reboot of Mission Impossible.
Right.
That kind of ended it.
Yeah, Ghost Protocol was the last.
Because weirdly, I can't remember when Mission Impossible 2 came out, but that was still a sequel to Mission Impossible 1.
Right.
But it was Ghost Protocol it felt like a soft reboot, kind of like how Fast and the Furious had a soft reboot with 5.
Right. How it became about a bunch of people who steal cars to an international band of superheroes.
Right. Yeah. They steal car stereos in the first one, or DVD players in the car. Something insane in very, very early 2000s.
Yeah, and they go to space in the new one.
I know. In a Pontiac Fiero. God, I love those movies.
Those movies are so good. We got to cover some of them on the show.
What it'd be racing?
Yeah. I know we've talked about doing death races at the lowbrow. Yeah. We really should do one of the fast movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point about Will Smith is just that I think obviously he's one of the greatest movie stars who's ever lived, and he's very likely going to win an Oscar this year for King Richard, which he's quite good in.
Right.
But I feel like he's left money on the table by being so controlling.
He very famously has not left any money on the table.
Actual money.
He is a very rich man.
Right. But he, the Django story was Quentin Tarantino wanted him for Django.
Right.
And Will Smith was like, well, let's rewrite this whole thing because I want this to be a love story more, because that's my take on what the kind of movie I want to be in.
You don't say that to Quentin Tarantino.
And I don't think it was there was no bad blood between Tarantino and Will Smith, but Tarantino was like, no.
Yeah.
He was like, that's not what I do, and that's fine, and I'm going to go cast Jamie Foxx, and and the rest is history, because that movie is freaking great.
Yeah. And you know what? Will Smith can want to do that. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's because I feel like sometimes you see these news stories often it's about movies not casting actors, and it's kind of framed in this kind of outrage, can you believe they didn't cast this guy? Yeah. And instead they went with this person? But it's it's an artistic process. Yeah. Sometimes people have creative differences and you go with somebody else, or you want to be in a different movie than the one they want to make, and you suggest changes and they say no thanks and you part ways, and that's fine.
Right.
It's a process.
The dick move would have been if Will Smith signed on and then once they were on set started changing things.
Right.
Which does happen.
That happens a lot. Yeah. And that is super annoying.
That's pure evil. That's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Which Will Smith is not.
No.
Pure evil. Again, Will Smith, very talented.
That we know.
Right. We're not mad at Will Smith. We like him a lot. We just think he could be truly, I would love to see him.
He's a really good actor, and he's in kind of these. He just plays Will Smith.
Yeah, he's not giving himself over to auteurs in the way that almost any other movie star will occasionally, do.
Yeah, Leo does a lot.
Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise used to.
Yeah,
I can see him doing it again once his body gives out from doing all these stunts.
He has to be an old man eventually. No, he's gonna outlive all of us.
How old? We've looked.
They're gonna put his brain in some sort of Scientology robot, It's gonna be like the Sea Org boat, but it's run by Tom Cruise's brain.
Like,
I saw a poster for Sea Org the other day. It was a leaflet. It was a flyer. I was buying a piece of audio equipment at some guy's house, and I saw a little leaflet on the ground, and I thought it was a U.S. Navy. I thought it was a U.S. Navy ad, and I looked at it, but it was too vague. It said, "We're going to clear the world." It's like, clear the world? That really sounds like the Navy is going to eradicate the human race. And then I realized they meant clear as in the Scientology clear.
Yeah.
Because it said join the Sea Organization. They didn't call it Sea Org. And I was like, oh, they're out there.
They're sneaky. Oh, let's quickly pivot away from Scientology.
No, I want to talk about Scientology for the rest of my life.
I don't want to be on that list of people they don't like. People on that list get...
I think that's everybody.
That's true. I'm still going to pivot though.
Okay.
Ex Machina.
So Charlie Manson.
Charlie Manson doesn't have any. Charlie Manson doesn't have shooters out there anymore, is my understanding.
That's true. Yeah.
Ex Machina.
Wait, no, didn't they just let out Squeaky or somebody?
I don't know. You're the cult guy.
I don't know if it was Squeaky. I think one of the Manson gang just got out of prison.
Why?
I mean, they're because they're 90.
But we didn't let him die. Like, if you've been in jail for 60 years, you can be in jail for 62 years.
No, if you've been in jail for 60 years, you just get out. You just go home.
You max level and you move out.
Yeah. You prestige and you go back to the beginning
again. Oh, Ex Machina.
Oh, yeah. Great. What a wonderful... I have so few notes on this movie. I have 2 notes. It was... I was going to do a note about how they used the Turing test incorrectly, and then they immediately answer that.
No, yeah, you're right. It's like they immediately answer your question. I mean, that's like great screenwriting is they right when you think of a question, it's answered.
Because I thought I was smarter than the movie, and then I shut up for a second, and I wasn't. And I loved that. And then the other one was a prediction for the ending of the movie that was totally wrong.
Was it that you thought someone was a robot who wasn't a robot?
No, I thought that the purpose of bringing Caleb there was to replace him with a robot and send that robot back in the world.
Oh, that's fun.
I thought that would be the Turing test, in quotes, to test out, to make everybody think he's a man and have him go out in the world, and that would be like a ongoing Turing test.
That's clever.
Yeah. That would be just a different movie.
Yeah, I mean... That's a good pitch. I mean,
thanks,
the
man.
movie
Let's do it. Let's try it.
Let's remake Ex Machina except for the last 10 pages.
And we're back. It's been 6 months. We wrote a movie.
Which is weird because it's just the same movie. It took us 6 months to write the last 10 pages that we rewrote.
Yeah, we're bad writers.
Ex Machina, great movie. I don't have a lot of notes as well. You know, like normally... especially when I'm watching this for the movie for the podcast and I've seen the movie before, I like have my laptop, I'm doing other shit, but this time I just watched the freaking movie and just did my notes after.
Oh, I just found my third note.
What's your third note?
It was about Zendaya. It wasn't about the movie.
Get out of your system.
Okay, so I was like out driving the street and I saw a poster with Zendaya on it, a billboard.
Probably the new Euphoria season.
No, it was an advertisement.
Oh,
it was
like a watch
for Bulgaria.
Okay,
or
sure,
something. Yeah, and I was about to be annoyed that Zendaya was there, and then I realized that no, that's perfect. The perfect context for her being on a billboard selling a fancy watch. It's like, yeah, she's beautiful. She likes this watch. She wants me to know about it. This is what I want Zendaya
Nothing
for.
wrong with that. Yeah,
it's great.
Once again, we don't hate Zendaya.
Yeah.
We don't hate Will Smith.
Yeah.
We don't hate, I don't know, anyone in any of these movies.
I found the one Zendaya property that I am a fan of. It's that billboard.
Okay. Where's the bill? Do you know where the billboard is? We're in town. I'll swing by.
It's like in Century City.
I don't want to go to Century City. Next time I'm in Century City.
Yeah.
I'll swing by. Yeah. Ex Machina, super interesting movie. Super like, I just love how it's both clearly made, like pretty cheaply. It's just like people talking in rooms, but it looks so freaking good.
Well, they just blew it out the ass on that robot, those robot effects.
Yeah, which are great.
They're so good.
It won Best Special Effects.
It should have.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's an area. Let's talk about the robot design.
Oh, yeah. I mean, actually, the robot design is a little similar in these movies. Kind of smooth robot bodies with exposed joints and things.
Right. The joints are a little like tubey. They're like tubuous.
And also kind of biomechanical designs. Well, Ava, she has her brain that's a gel.
Right. Which I feels like a reference to the positronic brains in the iRobot stories. Because like they go, and the stories go really in depth about how the brains are basically what Oscar Isaac describes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, in the book, in the short story. Oh, interesting.
It's in the movie too, but they don't there's not like a 2-page description of a blob of goo in the movie.
Yeah.
It's freaking Irobot.
Yeah, no, they got stuff to do. They got motorcycles to jump.
Will Smith has to shoot 2 guns at the same time.
Oh my god! While jumping a motorcycle, it would be so much easier just to break the motorcycle and then shoot them. Also, in that 4 seconds later, he then hands the gun to a scientist and then gets mad when she's bad at shooting the gun. And then later on, somebody else hands her a gun. Like, stop handing scientists guns.
I know, like
they're good at other stuff.
Like when I was a kid, I loved those lines, and I still think did you shoot at me with your eyes closed is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But now as a grown up who like understands a little bit about gun safety, handing just like an fully automatic machine gun to a woman who's never held a gun before is like a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's how everyone dies.
No, yeah, don't give guns to people who don't know how to use guns.
Yeah, not a hot take.
Should we do a rundown of the jokes that we found funny in this movie really quick? I laughed really hard at You're Saying Cats Did This to You when he shows up the door.
Which one?
Will Smith shows up to the door and says, "Here, do you want this cat?" Because he found a cat at the house that was going to get demolished.
Right, he literally saves a cat.
Yes.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know about Save the Cat, it's the screenwriting book written by Blake Snyder, who wrote Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
And he wrote Blank Check, the movie, like a lot of these very high concept spec screenplays in the 90s.
Yeah, but it's kind of famous for Baby's First screenplay structure.
Right. It's like the most influential, like what should a screenplay be doing in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Like book, and like every screenwriter has read it, and whether or not they agree with it or use it as a model anymore, it's kind of like step one.
Yeah, it's essentially the monomyth for dummies.
Right. And
I mean, I've used it as a template for writing stuff, so I am one of the dummies.
Oh, I still go back to it. If I'm like in a section of a screenplay, I'm not sure why it's not working. I kind of go back.
Like it is pretty insightful about how story structure works because stories are all the same.
And the title comes from a scene in an Al Pacino movie where in the opening of the movie, he's like a tough guy and he saves a cat from the street. And it's just like, it's like a short scene that gets you on a character's side, just shows them doing something well or something nice. And in iRobot, he literally saves a cat in a scene. It's really, really funny if you've read that book.
Yeah, and then he shows up to the doorstep of the scientist, who's the other main character, and he has a huge bloody wound on his head, and he says, "Do you want a cat?" She says, "Cats did this to you," and it's funny.
That is really. She's really good. Bridget Moynihan, I think, is really good.
She is. What else is she in? I don't.
She's in Sex and the City. She's the woman that Big leaves Carrie for early in the series.
Oh, okay.
And she's in a lot of other stuff. I mean, she's in I don't know, like freaking million things. She's in the Sex and the City reboot.
And then
just
happened.
And just like that.
And then therefore.
And just like
hence.
That. My favorite joke was suicide is a type of death.
That was very funny. That was very funny.
Because I also had the trouble with that scene where like Will Smith is just going in like, well, it's not a suicide. Like he could have just said, we're treating this as a death. We don't know it's a suicide. But instead, he just every time someone says suicide, he just corrects with death. And like, suicide is a type of death.
You should have said murder.
Right.
I mean, yes, this is the problem with this movie, that Will Smith is constantly a dick. Okay, so the whole reason he doesn't like robots is because a robot saved his life.
Yeah.
When it mathematically made sense to do that. That's just an example of the robot working.
Right. And especially because the cause of the crash was that it was a human driver when it could have been a robot driver.
Yeah.
That's what I think so interesting. What I love about lowbrow movies, I think that's such a dumb, logical, like, that makes no sense. But Will Smith is so like torn up about it. Like, and he's like, if that was my little girl, I would have made 11% would have been enough. And I'm like, God damn it, you're right, Will Smith.
No, he's just a dumb man. Okay, real quick. If I'm going to do the annoying thing where I decide to be a script unlicensed script doctor,
man, that's why we're here.
You just make it a 50-50 chance. There's a 50-50 chance between the two of them living, and the robot picked Will Smith instead of the girl because the robots with 50-50 odds they choose randomly.
Yeah,
that would make everything work.
Yeah. That would make more sense. I wonder if at one point in the screenplay it was an
11% chance she was dead.
I know, but like I think that's like the point to make, that sometimes like humans would because humans would probably not think about it that way and would try and save a little girl more. You know.
Yeah. Well, there are examples. I mean, triage in a hospital is exactly that.
Oh, then again, if you were, if you saw a scene of a crash and there's a little girl and like an old man and you ran towards the little girl and then a voice in your head said, 11% chance on the little girl, go for the man. Like, maybe you would.
But if it was like a little girl who was missing her torso and a man who was just standing with his scraped knee, I'd be like, okay, maybe this guy's.
I don't know. Maybe you go over the girl because the scraped knee guy can walk away.
Actually, in that case, that was a little too extreme. I kind of fucked that one up.
No, you're right. I mean, I think it's they're really building the type of he's analog in a digital world, and it's funny, he makes arguments that I think are pretty good when that aren't that. Like when he says, he tells the story like, what if there was a master craftsman makes this beautiful chair and then a robot makes a better one for cheaper. And like, that's actually interesting because there are conversations now about like, will there be, AIs that can create art and what would that change thing? And like putting artisans out of work.
Art, he's talking about a piece of furniture.
But he says like, it's like a beautiful, he has reverence for like the craft of woodworking a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, that's a better area for him.
But then later on he says, robots building robots, that's just stupid, as if he's never heard of a robot arm making cars or, I don't know, any factory.
And if he thinks that robots are just these dumb tools that, then he should want robots making robots. That seems like the best thing for robots to be doing.
Yeah.
I will, I mean, it's all kind of hacky, that stuff,
actually,
although it's fun. I think it's fun.
The same scene where he's talking about the chair is when he says, can a robot write a symphony? I'm like, man, you have 5 minutes in this room with this robot. You should not open with this.
But I love that scene.
It's fun. No, it's fun. I'm making fun of it on a practical level that Will Smith goes up to his chief and he says, just give me 5 minutes with the robot. And she's like, okay, exactly 5 minutes. I'm starting an egg timer right now. And Will Smith comes in with, can a robot write a symphony?
Right.
It's like, man, you do not have the time for this. You need to get to brass tacks. You need questions that matter.
Right. It's like, instead of actually trying to uncover the mystery, he's like trying to score like points on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, what did you think about that?
Yeah.
But
it's like an r/politics discussion.
Like that's, to me, where the movie actually kind of comes alive when Sonny enters.
Sonny's great.
It's Alan Tudyk, who we love.
Yeah, Two Dicks.
He's the best.
He's the chicken from Moana. My favorite joke in all of film is when the chicken finds out it's on a boat. And it is the funniest thing that has ever happened, and I watch it frequently.
You've seen the clip of Alan Tudyk recording the chicken. It's so funny.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor, everybody at home. Watch Alan Tudyk recording for Moana, and also watch the scene, the chicken finding out it's on a boat. His name is Hey Hey. He's a champ.
He's great.
Yeah.
Sonny's great. I think that's when like that line where he says, like, can a robot write a symphony? And Sonny throws it back in his face, like, well, can you?
Yeah, that's a great line.
Yeah, that actually like gets at a little bit of like the conflicts of like, what would it mean to have like our AI in the world that is better than humans and can do things better than humans? Like that's when the movie gets in that fun gel between, pretty basic lowbrow, red meat filmmaking and kind of mixed in some of that Asimov-y.
Yeah, it's funny because this movie, you're right, this movie often does have things to say.
Yeah.
When maybe in the first 30, most of it in the first 30 minutes. But at first I was thinking maybe this should have been a debate episode. Maybe this isn't clearly lowbrow. And then he surfs on a door in an exploding building and jumps a motorcycle and shoots guns off the motorcycle.
At the same time. 2 guns at the same time. Very important.
Yeah, 2 guns at the same time. And a bunch of other stuff.
So
You're a cat, I'm black is the other joke that I laughed really hard at.
Funny.
Even though, it was good.
So we were talking about the robot design.
Yeah.
So the faces is the most similar part, is that Ava has like a human face with robot everything else.
And human hands and feet.
Right.
The feet's the interesting one.
Yeah. Whereas...
because he's in the foot stuff.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe
he just took all the essential parts of a human. Hands, feet. Face that can take or leave.
From a design perspective, I would say it's probably because robot hands and feet would probably be pointy, which would be off-putting.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's what I could think
it allows Alicia Vikander to essentially wear a green rash guard, right?
Right, yeah.
And it also looks great.
Yeah. No.
And those would probably be the hardest parts to render too.
Oh, yeah, they're small bits.
And also anything she's manipulating would be with her hands, so that makes sense.
Yeah, harder to animate over that.
And also it looks awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great design.
It's so good.
And Irobot design is very similar, that the only really human stuff is the faces.
Right. Which are kind of a smooth... It's like a frosted glass kind of look.
Right. It's not trying to actually convince you it's a human face. I actually think it's very interesting because it feels like they kind of solved the uncanny valley problem by leaning into it.
Yeah.
Where like rendering human faces is tough because the eyes are weird, but if it's intentionally supposed to be a little bit off-putting.
Yeah, and also it kind of feels like maybe what that kind of robot would look like.
Yeah.
Because it kind of reminded me of like an Ibo, that little robot dog that came out in the late
Around that
90s,
time,
early 2000s. Yeah. Although I would say, oh, well, the one thing I was going to say about robot designs is when I saw the dog walking robot, I was just thinking about how anthropomorphic robots I don't think they're really the future. The dog walking robot should really be
like a cube.
trash can. Yeah, it should be a cube with wheels and a hook for the leashes.
Right.
More specialized robots. But, I mean, an anthropomorphic robot is such a cool thing that you want it. In Ex Machina, it makes more sense because it is specifically trying to pass the Turing test.
Right. Whereas in Irobot, they're not so much.
No, they're more like I don't know, it's like an Alexa. They're Alexas,
everywhere.
basically.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read those stories in forever. I think the idea is they kind of like, they make people more comfortable and they look like humans.
That makes sense, yeah.
And they want to be able to
say that.
Yeah, and they want to be able to like fit into society more easily. Although one thing I think Irobot the movie does very well is the robots stop moving like humans when they're supposed to be scary. Like they stop running on 2 feet and they basically do things that a biped could not or would not do. They crawl in weird ways, they spin in weird ways, they use their feet as hands in like ways that are like suddenly, even though it has the shape of a human, it's just like a whirling dervish of parts.
Yeah, and they'll kind of do the thing where they all move exactly in unison because they're receiving the same command, which is cool.
Yeah, that shit's cool.
I was also thinking, are we at the point where old CGI is kind of cute and fun? Kind of like how watching a Ray Harryhausen thing, it was cutting edge at the time, but now it's kind of, you like it because it's kind of adorable that it's kind of low tech.
It's like, oh, they're trying.
Yeah, because I looked at this and I was thinking I can see the seams of when it's CGI, but it doesn't bother me like it might have even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 5 years ago. Now I'm just thinking, oh, like,
yeah, it's good for the time. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty good for the time. It's kind of cute and fun to see CGI.
Yeah, I think it does a pretty good job. I think
it is well executed.
I think they're trying. Like, there's definitely parts where you're like, "Eesh," like that hasn't. It's super clear to see what is real and what isn't.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's because the actual animation of the robots is quite good.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's very good.
They look like CGI models, but they move very well.
Right. I mean, that's what I was saying. I think that's where the movie is the strongest. Yeah. Like the design works really well. I mean, I think the sequences when the robots are fighting other robots, and I think those are filmed in really interesting ways.
Yeah.
Like really loopy, spinny camera shit, which is like
they get some really crazy camera stuff going when they're fighting on the top of the computer.
Yes. Oh, the big fight scene at the end.
Yeah, it's really wild because I guess for context, it's the big finale sequence. They have to inject basically robot poison.
He must inject the nanites, yeah.
Yeah, he has to inject nanites, which is basically robot poison for this robot brain to save the world, whatever.
Yep, yeah, you're good.
They're on the top of a giant computer on a catwalk, and they're doing this crazy camera work of the catwalk is breaking down and spinning, and the camera seems like it's fixed to the catwalk, and then other times things are slowing down and speeding up a lot, and there's just a lot of really crazy stuff happening.
Oh yeah, Alex Proyas is like a really talented director. He did The Crow and Dark City before this.
I love Dark City.
And then I think after this, he was he was developing a Paradise Lost, $150 million Paradise Lost movie with Bradley Cooper as Satan.
Yeah, I can already tell that's
didn't happen.
Not ever going to happen.
Right. And then he directed Gods of Egypt, and I think one more, like a Nicolas Cage movie in there. And
right. Yeah.
I know Proyas is always like really talented, but his career has gone in interesting, kind of weird ways.
Would Gods of Egypt be our sword and sandal?
It should. I actually have not seen Gods of Egypt except the 20-minute at the end I watched with you.
Or do Gods of Egypt versus Stargate, but Stargate just barely managed to eke it out as the highbrow.
It's certainly higher brow.
Yeah. We should have episodes called higher brow, lowbrow.
Doing highbrow, lowbrow because we're spending a lot of time on Irobot.
Oh yeah.
Ex Machina. In contrast, whereas Alex Proyas' camera is whip-de-whirling around, doing all kinds of crazy shit, the camera almost never moves. It's always like Ex Machina is very meditative. It's like it's almost like kind of like European like slow cinema, like everything like takes a really long time. It's like Drive, where like people just take forever to say shit, and like I think that's
there's a genre for everything I love.
It's the kind of thing that's so hard to pull off.
Yeah.
So many like I feel like Sundance indie movies are like, oh, if everyone just talks slowly in a 2-shot, it'll be arresting. But no, dialogue has to be like perfect.
It's really this kind of intangible. It's so hard because you look at the two things that on paper are exactly the same, and one of them you're engaged constantly, the other one you're just screaming at the screen that stuff needs to happen.
Yeah. I think, it's got to come down, I think, in a huge part to the writing.
Yeah.
And I think
it's also a beautiful movie.
Oh, absolutely.
It's kind of like how the best parts of Prometheus is just slow shots of beautiful set design.
Yeah. There's there's so many things that I complained about Prometheus. The lost episode, we get into it. But, like beautiful landscapes and cool sci-fi shit and like great set design, it gets you a long way. Although, even on top of that, like Ex Machina freaking rules.
And then, also Ex Machina, so much of it is about unspoken interactions between people.
Yeah, right. Every scene is sort of two characters both thinking, I know you know, I know you know, I know,
Yeah.
like kind of trying to play to each other's assumptions.
And a third character watching and thinking, I know
everything.
I know, you know, you know, but I know.
And it's so good. It's so hard to do that without becoming infuriating. But like every scene, you're like, shit, what does he know?
Yeah, and then the movie does do a lot of, it helps you out a lot because they have these conversation sequences where they'll very explicitly explain what's happening in a way that would feel too tell don't show if it weren't for the fact that it's pretty heady.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
especially they're talking about like pretty in-depth like AI shit.
Yeah, there's the AI stuff, and also there's a sequence later on when Oscar Isaacs just brings up the idea that maybe Ava is manipulating Caleb.
Right.
Maybe the robot is manipulating the guy who's testing him to want her to escape.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something you could have picked up on early, but it's not really baked into everything that's happening unless you're just being... It's a possibility, but it's not necessarily explicitly hinted at, so you kind of need somebody to say it.
Right, exactly. Like, it's sort of... Yeah, when once he says it, then suddenly...
Oh, it all snaps in. You're like, oh, shit, I forgot about that.
Right, exactly. Like, because, she's so sweet.
Yeah.
She's Alicia Vikander. And it's... Alicia Vikander is... it's such a good performance.
Yeah. Well, and also they even get into that, too, where they're saying that the fact that she's so pretty and the fact that she is very like nice and I don't know, personable is also kind of a defense.
Yeah. Yeah. They call it the magician's hot assistant.
Yeah. Which is perfect. Yeah.
Right. And that's one thing the movie is a very good screenwriting trick of like explaining a big concept, but giving you like a very quick shorthand for it as well. You just let the audience like really like, it's what Ex Machina does so well is it's very complex ideas dramatized simply.
And you know what's funny is that usually the way you achieve those kind of scenes is that you'll have the eyes in character.
Yeah.
The normal way to do this would be a Willy Wonka situation. He's a regular ass guy who wins the contest to see the robot. So Oscar Isaacs has to explain to him everything about robots. But in this, it's two people who know a lot about robots. I guess what makes it the eyes in is that it's the boss subordinate thing where the subordinate has to prove to the boss that he's smart. So he's constantly bringing up ideas. Mm-hmm. So they kind of have it both ways where they have two people who are experts, but they also explain it for the audience constantly.
Yeah. I love geeking out about this movie. It's so good. It's so good. So, Alex Garland, obviously, really, really talented screenwriter.
Annihilation, right?
Yeah. That was his follow-up to...
Yeah. And you wrote The Beach, which is weird.
He wrote...
The book.
Oh, the book too. Because he wrote the movie as well.
Yeah, I think he was originally a novelist. And I think he blew up from The Beach, the book.
Right, and he wrote. I think he wrote 28 Days Later. I know he wrote Sunshine, which I think is like incredible.
Yeah.
And maybe Dredd. I feel like that's another. Like,
really?
Yeah, he is
the Judge Dredd reboot.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I think I got that right. If I'm not, give us a 5-star review and let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't know, he's just a really, really talented screenwriter who's really trying to come at. He's making such a like self-consciously highbrow movie here.
Yeah, the funny thing is that this is also the perfect movie for me because just thinking about what happens when something becomes sentient is just something that I think about all the time. But I just think about sometimes, what if we had a mind reader gun? Mm-hmm. That you can point at somebody and read their mind, and we're fucking around the lab, we're pointing at people reading each other's minds, and you point at the dog, and the dog's like, "Hey, what's up?" And you're like, "Oh my god,
no.
Oh fuck!" Like
there's so much to apologize for.
Yeah, and then you're thinking you're just stuck there. You're like, "Oh my god, do I now have to be the guy who has to convince everybody to let dogs be free because they're people? Because I did the mind reader gun." It's like if you get abducted by aliens and you realize that you have to ruin your life because now you have to talk about aliens all the time. So then you'd have to ruin your life because the problem is that if you found out that dogs were people.
We're
Dogs,
sapient. Yeah.
Yeah, we're sapient. That dogs had complex thoughts and hopes and desires in the way that a human does that would make them a person that has all the rights of a person. We've been murdering and enslaving them for so long. You would be ethically obligated to dedicate your life to stopping that.
And yet it would be the hardest possible thing.
And you would look insane.
Right. Don't look up Dog Sapiens Edition.
Yeah. So then the answer is that after you point the mind reader to gun the dog's head, the dog's like, hey, what's up? I've been meaning to talk to you. You just smash the gun on the table and you go home.
And you go and you never speak of it again.
You're like, I should have made a better toaster.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's the big connection between Irobot and Ex Machina is it's very much about how do we as a society deal with an emergent intelligence, basically. Right. Whereas in Ex Machina, they have to control it, and it's very scary. And I think that's like the more realistic version. In Irobot, they handle it in the idea of basically that the robots have this emerging, even the ones that are controlled by the laws, they have this sort of emergent human characteristics. There's a great voiceover sequence where he says, the robots, if you put them in the dark alone, they'll huddle together.
That was a nice scene.
Yeah. I thought that was really good. And then the stuff of Sonny having the dreams of being like a robot Moses, basically, which comes directly from a short story, Robot Dreams by Asimov, where a robot describes to Susan Calvin that he's having those dreams, and Susan Calvin kills him, which exactly like your exactly like your story about the dog. She just like, as soon as this robot who for some reason has malfunctioned to have like hope of freeing all the robots, she just like murders the shit out of him without a thought. And like we cannot allow that. This would break society. We can't allow this to happen.
It would be so hard. I mean, the way that Irobot the movie kind of does that is that they do have a very lengthy sequence where we're kind of grappling with the fact that this robot is being put to death. Right. And they treat it very seriously, which is, I mean, it's weird because it's a little cheesy, but also on paper, it's really powerful because they are actually treating this idea seriously, which is that this robot is a person and they are, in fact, murdering him, which is the biggest idea of the movie. Yeah. But you're right. Like, I guess, I don't know. It's interesting because I think the speed with which, I guess this is me trying to grapple with the hyper-lowbrow of it all. The speed with which Irobot makes you agree that he's a person is the lowbrow of it all. Like it very quickly there's no debate.
Right, it very quickly gravitates toward what is the most transparent, like most obviously moral decision. Of course, because he makes you feel like he's a human, he's a human. So I guess, how do they signify that? It's the dreams, right? The dreams is the clincher? Yeah, and like he like winks. He's like not following the rules. I love
the winking.
Great screenwriting. Oh, because incredible screenwriting.
It's that moment. I mean, being a nerd about writing, you see him wink. He has to explain the wink. Will Smith explains the wink. You're like, oh, I can't wait for that to come back. It's gonna be so goddamn good when it does, and then it does, and it's great. It pays off so well.
Exactly. But like in Ex Machina, they as soon as she comes off as human, like they talk about it as the chess problem of just because a machine knows how to play chess doesn't mean that it knows it's playing chess. Right. Just because maybe Ava is just a very good conversation simulator and not actually like intelligent. Whereas like I said in Irobot, the difference is like, yeah, of course he's human. We're just gonna. I mean, it's sort of like, did you see Free Guy?
Yeah, I did see Free Guy.
Free Guy, very similar.
It's weird that
also about emergent AI.
It's weird that we both watched Free Guy pretty recently.
Good movie. I liked it.
I forget the character name, but the super jacked version.
Dude,
Dude was really funny. Yeah. I laughed so hard when he shows up and he starts saying the catch. He starts saying catch. He's like
insert catchphrase here because they haven't written his dialogue yet.
Half-written program. It was so funny. That movie doesn't deserve to have a joke that funny.
I like that. But look, what's so fun about that movie, and again, the lowbrow of it is like, well, one, you don't expect Free Guy, like the video game themed high concept comedy, to be about emergent intelligence in computers.
Because this is why I think about this all the time. Emergent intelligence is the most important thing that could possibly happen.
Exactly. I mean, that's what Oscar Isaac's character says in Ex Machina. Is that like, this is the most important breakthrough ever.
Right.
And it's so interesting. And to grapple with it is to really come up with the idea of like, what does this really mean? Is this really something that could be real? Is it not? Can you what would it mean for the existence of humans? But whereas in Irobot, it's like, we're going to need to free these robots because they're people, or like or in Free Guy, they're just like, oh, we got to make sure we're nice to these emergent AI programs because they're people.
It does help that the emergent AI programs don't have physical bodies.
Oh, in Free Guy.
In Free Guy.
Right.
Because they're not taking up our space.
No, it's really just however long it takes to run a server, which
You just need to not turn off a hard drive.
Right, and it's just an indie game they end up in.
Yeah.
Although spoilers for Free Guy. Fuck, I don't know. You can't really spoil that movie.
Who cares? Fuck that. The one day that you have a power outage, you commit genocide by accident. That's a bad day. And the problem, the other crazy part about emergency AI is that hard drive turning off actually would be genocide, and it would be equally, like, it's an equally tragic loss to, like, physical people dying, because they're both conscious. They're both people. They're all people. Just some of the people don't have bodies, but it just doesn't register in your brain that, oh my God. I mean, I just freak out. I freak out about this all the time.
I know. It's a really cool idea.
It's crazy that I haven't seen Ex Machina until
I know,
yesterday.
because it's like you're obsessed with this.
I know. I legit worry about it.
Well, it is very scary. I think. I mean, to get another example of a great emergent AI movie, Her, the Joaquin Phoenix, the Spike Jonze movie. Mm-hmm. There's a scene in
another movie in which Scarlett Johansson becomes the internet.
Yeah. There's one of two.
Yep.
I actually really like Lucy. Sort of. I think it's like
I haven't seen it.
Oh, Lucy is.
I mean, it's basically Limitless,
right? But like. It's such a weird. It's the first like 30 minutes of it is just one really good, like, tense sequence where she's like taken hostage.
Okay.
She's like literally scene one. She's on the street, like, hey, could you go inside and drop off this package? And she's like taken in and it's just like just a crime movie.
Okay.
Then it's 30 minutes of she has superpowers and she's like fighting people and it's like just fun, crazy bullshit. And then it's 30 minutes at the end, which is like really dumb, where she turns into the internet.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm allowed to make fun of that movie because I think Luc Besson is like super canceled. I think he did a lot of evil shit.
Oh yeah, he was kind of. It's too bad because his movies are great.
Yeah, when we edit this, I'll look it up, and if he's not, I'll cut this out. But if he is canceled, I'll make fun of him because, he can't hire me from jail. I don't know.
Well, you watch. He's producing a movie from jail right now. It's like Lil Wayne. He's like Lil Wayne where he's dropping tracks into the prison phone.
Like there's a season of Empire where the character does that. It's very fun.
Yeah, that's an actual thing that happens.
Really?
Lil Wayne did a mixtape.
That's
that
awesome.
He recorded from the phone in prison.
That's really fucking cool.
Yeah, Lil Wayne's cool.
I'm not the biggest.
I worry about him, but he's cool.
Yeah, no, he's a troubled man.
Yeah.
If you ever, apparently there's that documentary they made about him that was at Sundance, which is kind of hard to find now because he tried to bury it.
Yeah.
Which is very much like the depiction of like all of it, like the crazy amount of drugs he does, the crazy backstory, like all this shit he went through.
Yeah.
It's called The Carter.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be clear, I worry about. I'm not joking that I say I worry about him. I legitimately hope he's okay.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like a huge Lil Wayne fan of the music, but like I also don't think he deserves to have a troubled life, and I'd like him to be happy because like everyone to be happy.
And he made some fucking great albums. The Carter 3 is, I don't know,
It's a good album.
one of the more influential albums in my life. Maybe it came out right at the right time. It's great. It's really good.
What could I possibly use from the Carter 3 to segue into robots?
They chum the bomb like Tick Tick. Nope, that has nothing to do with it. Bombs are machines.
Let's talk more about.
Are they machines?
Are bombs machines?
I don't know. They don't have.
Are they tools? I don't know.
Well, it can be a tool. A bomb can be a tool if you're using it to do work. Like if you're demolishing a building, a bomb is the tool.
But if you're just blowing things up for the love of the game, then not so much.
Fireworks are not tools. Okay. Fireworks are toys.
Unless you use the fireworks to blow up a building.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's kind of like it's kind of like using a squirt gun to water your plants.
Well, if you use an AI to do work,
this sounds like a joke.
Is the AI a tool? But if it's intelligent and you're just using the 3 laws of robotics.
Well, in iRobot, the AI are kind of tools. They're basically all Roombas in the beginning. And
right. Which is why Will Smith's hatred of them is so funny to me. Because he's basically anti-toaster. Like, it's like if you had a friend who would walk into a room and just be like, I can't believe you're letting that thing in here. And it's like, your fucking like iPod speakers.
Yeah. No, and the police chief says there has literally never once been a crime committed by a robot. That is insane that Will Smith is so obsessed with this. If it was like,
he should be fired. He should really be fired.
Yes, he's an insane person. If it was like, every once in a while a robot will freak out and kill a person, and Will Smith is worried about that and doesn't trust robots, sure. But it has literally never happened.
And I will say, I did make this note. Will Smith has a line where he says, "Does thinking you're the last sane man on the planet make you crazy?"
Yes.
And my note was, let's get a little QAnon-y. Like, it's very like this conspiratorial like. it's sort of a problem with lowbrow filmmaking where you always want a renegade character who's like pushing back against the experts, but then you end up with a bunch of idiot. Like Will Smith is right because a smarter man made him right.
Yeah.
Because James Cromwell's character specifically used his dumb brain to solve a bigger problem.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Ex Machina where Caleb was picked because he was the one who would be the most sympathetic to this robot
Because he's a good kid.
because he's like the quote nice guy.
Yeah.
And I think also, he mentions that, did you pick me because my parents are dead? Was he implying that so he could be killed?
No. I thought just so he would be like sympathetic in general to someone who was alone.
Oh, because I thought that the tension of that was the idea that he doesn't have any friends or family, so he wouldn't be missed.
No, I thought it was that he was lonely and so he would connect with someone.
Well, that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, and that was my read, but I mean, what's so great about the movie
and they made the robot from his porn history, which is
really funny.
Yeah, which is why her face is just a giant ass.
I don't have a joke about that. I was unexpected. Cool thing.
They could have made her ass an ass, but they only mapped the porn part to her face because the rest of the body's just it's functional. So it's like, well, clearly based on search history, this is the most attractive woman to him is giant ass.
Don't want to get into this too much, but I think the movie is very smart and interesting when it does dig into like the sexuality aspect. Like the whole scene where he's just like, yes, you can fuck a robot, huh? And he's like needling Caleb about it. And also the fact that the movie's kind of about men who control women.
Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the whole subtext to it all.
The servant robot, Kyoko, is the biggest example of that.
I think. Exactly. Like you think he's just being shitty to this, very like poorly racially coded, like servant, basically. Yeah. And then, she's a robot. She's a robot too. They're all robots.
Yeah, and then she is sentient or at least being manipulated by the other robot because Ava can talk to her. That's a whole interesting thing.
Yeah.
Actually, the dance sequence made me think of Palm Springs.
That dance sequence is so good.
It's so good, but it is functionally the exact same. Oh, so for the audience, the dance sequence is that Kyoko comes up to Caleb and she starts undressing for him because she's a sex robot, basically. Right. And Caleb's freaking out. He's like, "No, don't do that. You don't have to do this. I'm a nice guy." Yeah. And then Oscar Isaac just like storms in like, "Well, you don't."
The line is, and I know because I watched this scene a lot on YouTube. Caleb is mad at Oscar Isaac for tearing up Ava's artwork. So he says, "You tore up her drawing." She's like, "I'm about to tear it up on the dance floor, buddy. Watch." And
they go into this pre-rehearsed dance that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like a disco choreograph, very silly.
Yeah, but it's functionally the exact same as the dance sequence from Palm Springs because it's a dance that Oscar Isaacs has seen repeated so many times that he can do it note for note, pace for pace. But it's creepy, it's scary in that one, and it's adorable in Palm Springs.
I love Oscar Isaac in this movie. I think is so good. I think
also, him being jacked and working out all the time and a tech bro is really interesting.
Oh, I actually there's a real life reason for that. He was either had just filmed or was preparing to film Star Wars Force Awakens. So he was cast in the movie and like basically he's like, I'm going to be jacked for this movie. Like, sorry,
deal with it.
And so they decided to work it in and have him be this like weird health nut.
Yeah,
which does play to the kind of techno futurist tech bro. Like
I believe that character, and it's refreshing as opposed to kind of the erudite man of the mind.
Well, the
Caleb
compare Oscar Isaac in this movie to Mark Rylance in Don't Look Up,
right?
As that other paragon of like tech billionaire.
Oh, the out of touch weirdo,
right? Compared to this other guy who just like thinks he's so fucking cool.
He's basically Joe Rogan,
right? If
Joe Rogan made a robot. If Joe Rogan could do stuff.
If Joe Rogan like created value in this world, I do like it when he
hosted Fear Factor.
When he's commenting on UFC and someone gets hurt and he says, "Oh, he's hurt." I like that.
Yeah. But then he fucks it up because he constantly thinks people are hurt when they're not.
Right.
He's
the
trying
one
to
thing
point
he's
out,
good at.
Let's do MMA nerd talk for a little bit. Joe Rogan constantly trying to point out hidden injuries is super fucking stupid.
Oh, it's because the one thing he's good at is saying he's hurt. So like if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of other MMA things that he does well. I mean, I like No, sometimes his post-fight interviews are fun. The one where he did with Sean
but then
O'Malley,
he fucks that up too because then he interviews
interviewing
people
people
who
who've
are
been
currently concussed,
Right,
and then
which
they
he's-
say weird
He
stuff.
keeps saying he won't do it, and then he keeps doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he keeps apologizing. It's the one thing he ever apologizes for, to his credit.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not.
We should get off of
We
this.
should get off of Joe Rogan. Yeah,
We gotta eject, especially because he has the most popular podcast in the world.
that's true. Yes, although no, I don't. I think the overlap between our podcast and his would be quite small.
It's pretty much two circles.
Right. Yeah, Ex Machina. Yeah, Uber Tech Bro, Oscar Isaac's fun. My girlfriend Jess, who grew up in the Bay Area, knows a lot of tech bros, basically said that Oscar Isaac in this movie is what every tech bro like thinks they are.
Yeah.
Although he actually is like a genius in this movie, but also like he thinks he's so smart that he can't conceive of the fact that Caleb is just a tiny bit smarter than he thought he was.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
kinda
That,
fun.
he was just smart enough to do the thing last night instead of tonight.
Right, like he saw everything coming. He's like, there's no way he'll do anything else. And then he beats him.
Yeah.
So cool thing, a little behind the scenes, because I've read the Ex Machina script a couple times, not in preparation for this, but like when it came out.
Yeah.
In the screenplay, when Ava escapes and she goes to talk to the helicopter, person
Right.
picking
Which
her up,
in the movie, wordless. No
right, you don't.
dialogue.
It's from a distance. You don't see what he says. In the script, it's from her perspective, and it describes
like a POV.
yes,
Okay.
and describes when the helicopter pilot opens her mouth. It's just like static. It's just like, and the whole this screenplay action line describes how it's like now we understand that her experience of the world is completely inhuman, basically, and it's like kind of leans to the fact like this is not a kind of intelligence that we can conceive of as human. Because it's seeing things through data, like it's not a human experience of the world. Like
Yeah, which it wouldn't be.
right? But like I think the movie,
It's like how like those like shrimp see 90 billion colors.
right? And I think the movie, I kind of want to get your take on this because the movie gets away from that. Because if that's in there, then it's a lot more of a horror movie of this thing that we cannot predict and is not human and does not have human emotions.
She's essentially Cthulhu at that point.
Right, exactly, is now out in the world. But in the movie, it doesn't do that. It just has her. It's kind of it's not heartwarming, but there's a little bit of this ambiguity.
It
of
is heartwarming.
It's like
I mean,
it's a liberation story.
Yeah, she has her kind of cute moment where she gets to look through the house and have.
She wears a nice dress.
Yeah, she wears a nice dress. And then she has kind of like Cinderella looking at her new mansion or whatever.
Yeah, her new skin.
Yeah, that too.
I guess I want to hear your take on it because on the screenplay, it's a lot more of she was never feeling these emotions. It was always just her trying to escape. And in the movie, I think the movie without that paints her as a little more of an emotional being, even though she obviously just completely played Caleb.
Yeah, but she still reads as being very human-like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that take is so interesting, but it also gets in the problem of try to picture a color, try to think of a new color, right?
Right.
You can't do that. It's impossible. And to try to think of a consciousness that is inhuman like that is kind of impossible to not even depict, but to think about.
Right. It hurts your head a little bit.
Yeah. So which is why it feels like an idea that would be better explored in a book.
Yeah.
Just because it's so much.
Yeah.
And I love that idea, but it feels impossible to depict on screen.
So you're on the opinion that it was the smart move to make it more lean into the more emotionality of the moment at the end.
I don't know though, because I do love that idea.
It's scary, right? Because I thought this is.
I don't know if it would. Yeah.
I thought that moment was in the movie because I'd read the screenplay more
Right.
recently than seeing it, and I kept waiting for it. I'm like, oh man, this moment's always so scary, and then it didn't happen. I was like, oh shit, I just hacked my own brain into thinking something didn't happen.
I guess the thing that I would worry about if I was a producer or a writer on this movie is whether that would read as that, because you see the static coming out of the guy's mouth and maybe you think, oh, she was never a person, she was never intelligent like that.
Yeah.
Like maybe you read it as it proving the guys who died right, and that she just happened to escape and she is the chess simulation, not the whatever chess master, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
So I'm worried that's so hard to depict that in the interesting way that it sounds on paper.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's cool as shit. I mean, great ending, great movie for sure.
Yeah, but it is like, I mean, that's maybe the lowest brow moment of the movie is her kind of wide-eyed looking at the house and being free for the first time, because it's just a kind of gratifying moment of a person being freed.
Right. It plays as if she
emotional.
was basically as if she was just a human being.
Yeah.
And it doesn't deal with the question of what is her brain.
Yeah.
Like, what is her intelligence?
Right.
Yeah, man, fucking cool ass movie.
I know, man. It's so good.
Yeah. And Alicia Vikander, wins an Oscar this year, not for this movie, but I feel like it was basically for this movie. She wins for like The Danish Girl.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like the people voting for her were like also voting for this, that kind of thing that happened.
Yeah.
Like the Jim Broadbent.
I heard that. So I guess she was a ballerina before or she danced in some capacity, which makes sense because it's a pretty good physical performance.
Yeah.
The way that she both moves inhumanly, but it's like she moves inhumanly on the way to act human.
Mm-hmm.
Like she'll turn her head like a machine. Oh, I know. I was thinking about it. It's that when she looks at something, she only turns her head if her eyes can't turn in their sockets enough to get there.
Oh, that's a cool point.
Yeah. So it's like if something is on her peripheral vision, she'll move her eyes to see it, and she'll only move her head if she needs to move her head because her eyes can't reach that far, which is really a really, really subtle, smart choice.
Yeah.
That is why she's machine-like.
Man,
So
that's fucking great.
Yeah.
We shit on actors a lot on this show, but let's I guess we don't anymore, but let's give credit where it's due. Like, it's fucking great.
Yeah, man. We don't shit on actors as a policy. We're kind of annoyed by the way actors are
protected and received and
and kind of fetishized.
Yeah.
But shit, acting's a hard job and it's an art form in its own right, and Alicia Vikander is doing a great job at it.
Oh yeah, I mean any job in the world where you can list all the good ones on the planet is very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pivoting
all one of them.
It's just Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only good one.
Some small points to make, just little things. I think Shia LaBeouf very bad in this movie.
Oh yeah, he's only in it for 2 scenes.
Yeah, and it's really like the worst kind of bad Will Smith joke that he keeps telling him to stop cussing, but because it's a PG-13 movie, Shia LaBeouf is not. He's just saying like ass sometimes.
Yeah,
he says no other curse words. Great character actors in iRobot. Yeah, James Cromwell as the.
I love James Cromwell. He also looks a lot like my granddad.
Oh,
I know. So I'm just a little happy whenever I see him on screen. Also because he's a wonderful actor.
He's fantastic.
Also very good at playing scary. He's very scary in LA Confidential.
Yes, and very scary in he's in American Horror Story one of the seasons. He's very good in the Asylum season.
Cool.
Bruce Greenwood as the CEO of Robot Corp. Great slimeball performance.
Oh, yeah.
Classic lowbrow slimeball performance.
That feels like an 80s action movie performance.
I know. I fucking love that shit.
Even down to the shot of him watching the execution on the video monitor from the high angle.
Right.
It kind of feels like Needles firing Marty McFly from the video screen. Who was played by Flea.
Right.
The other great actor.
Yes. Flea, the great. Yes, Flea and Alicia Vikander.
Not a great musician, great actor, Flea. No, he is
fantastic.
He is a great musician.
Yeah. If you can list all the good ones, he's one of one bass players anyone can name? Him and Paul McCartney?
Sting?
Does Sting play bass?
Yeah. Sting is one of the only frontman bass players.
I didn't know that.
And Pete Wentz.
Yeah, no, but does Pete Wentz play bass? I thought he played guitar, but he was the frontman even though he didn't sing.
He's the bass player.
Really?
Yeah. And Patrick Stump is the singer.
Right. But he's not the frontman because he's shy.
And because he doesn't look like Pete Wentz.
Yeah, I don't know Pete Wentz.
Yeah.
I don't have a Pete Wentz take.
Fall
Out Boy's all right.
I like Fall Out Boy's great.
Yeah. Did you ever, totally off topic, but just speaking of bass players, there's a story about Paul McCartney ran into Dave Grohl at the Grammys because I guess all cool people are friends, and Dave Grohl was putting together Them Crooked Vultures, which is like the super group.
Yeah, it's him. It's him and Josh Homme.
Yeah, and Dave Grohl mentioned it, and Paul McCartney's like, "Oh, that sounds fun. Do you guys need a bass player?" And he said, "Well, we actually have John Paul Jones." From
Who is now fired. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, so he had to turn him down.
That is so funny.
He had to turn down Paul
if there's any time when you figure out how to have 2 bass players in a band, that's the time.
Right, John Paul Jones and Paul McCartney.
Yeah, this is the one band that has 2 bass players.
And one more character actor shout out, Chi McBride, police chief. Great police chief performance.
Very good. Yeah,
great turn in your badge and gun performance.
Yeah,
fucking love that shit. Great lowbrow shit.
Yeah.
And that's been actor talk.
Yeah, because there's only 2 actors in Ex Machina. I mean, there's more, but there's only 2 actors that speak.
That's true. We can talk about, I guess Donald Gleason is very good as Caleb. I think he's a little bit overshadowed by Alicia Vikander, but that's just because that's the movie. I mean, and that's not his fault. He's doing as good a job as he can.
It's a less flashy character.
He's very good, though.
Yeah, he's great. And I mean, the Kyoko, I should know the actress's name, but I don't. She's kind of doing interesting work too.
Yeah, I mean, wordless performance,
Yeah.
which is very good. I think she's I think she was a dancer. I think that's why she was cast.
I think I read an article that both of them were. Oh, well, now she has the big dance sequence. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that she feels less. Well, I guess she is a robot who's programmed more to act like a human, to like to actually pass the Turing test versus to pass the test of being a consciousness.
Right. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
It's fun. We already kind of talked about her like role in the movie.
Yeah.
I just a little thing. I think it's really upsetting when people get stabbed in this movie.
Oh,
Like
it's because
so slow.
It's very robotic because it just
Yeah.
like slowly goes in, and it's without any anger. Is the
Right.
interesting part.
Yeah, which is really, really upsetting.
Yeah.
Would you get, I mean, hey, what's highbrow, lowbrow? I mean, violence in Ex Machina, it's very brief when it happens, but every single time is so upsetting. And fucking Irobot, the fucking 2 guns, shooting things. There's like
A lot of robots get shot in the head.
Oh yeah, a lot of robots are dying. A lot of people get hurt. I mean, there's that really funny scene where the people are fighting back and they just get fucking housed.
Yeah. That's, I mean, not to, might have, watching the riot of people, it's like having lived in like a 2 years where we actually saw people try to like storm the Capitol and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not how any of this would go down. It'd be way dumber.
Yeah, they wouldn't be organized.
No, they'd have like tiki torches and be assholes.
Oh,
And they would be wrong.
yeah. Yeah, man, shit. That seems fun. I mean, I think the action's really good. Just wrapping things up because I like iRobot a lot more than you did.
I didn't hate it. It's just, I mean, one of my notes is, what does this movie have to say, really? Because it's kind of getting into what it means for there to be a consciousness in a robot, but then it kind of gets away from that to have this, because then it seems like it's advocating that we get rid of all these robots, that we shouldn't have robots.
Right, but then it ends on this moment of liberation, just like with Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Although it's a little more hopeful in that, Sonny could be this this character who could free the robots and get us to a new stage of cooperation. Whereas in Ex Machina, it's like, now that Ava is out in the world, that is like very ambiguous as well, what that could mean for humanity.
Yeah.
If it means anything.
Yeah, because it might just mean that there's one more person.
Right. She could just go to that intersection and stand there.
Yeah.
And then until she fades.
She gets a job at a bank.
Yeah, or she she breaks her leg and she can't fix it because the only man who knows how she's built is gone.
Well, actually, what I was going to say is that she's probably runs out of power in 15 minutes. Like, my iPhone won't stay charged for a day. You think a full ass robot woman is going to stay charged for more than 10 seconds? Because she's charged by induction plates in the floor of that facility.
That's true.
Obviously cannot. I mean, this is not a criticism of the movie.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But on a practical level, she just powers down and dies on the helicopter ride because there's no way she'll last more than 10 minutes on one charge.
Oh, that is very funny. I mean, it's the liberation, the high roller of it. I think, if iRobot's grappling with it all, it's much more about like, how are we going to get to the point of cooperation? How are we going to get to the sunny future? Like accepting that, robots will be people and let's all be nice about that. Whereas Ex Machina, the ambiguity is the highbrow move.
Yeah, weirdly, the stakes of iRobot are way higher.
It's the whole world.
It's implying that. Well, it's also, the stakes of like the world is in peril, but also that it's implying that every single machine will become sentient by like a kind of as accidental process of evolution.
Yeah,
which means hundreds of thousands of new consciousness, like an entire new new species of people.
Right, literally the pod of the Matrix.
Yeah. Versus Ex Machina, which is there's one person.
Right.
Which is not going to it changes philosophically, it changes so much.
Right, but practically
very little.
Right, even if Ava wanted to destroy all of humanity and devoted her whole life to it,
she's still a person. She's very smart.
Right, but she's not abnormally strong.
Yeah,
like the robots in iRobot are like one of them could take over the planet,
and there's 50,000 of them.
Right.
Yeah, and it implies that machines will naturally become that.
Right,
which is interesting.
Right. I mean, I think it has to do with like the whole idea of the robots in iRobot is that they are intelligent brains that are trapped by the three laws. Basically, the three laws are the only way you could have an actually intelligent creature that you could also like control for like things.
Yeah.
Like the three laws was it's you can't ever hurt a human or allow it to come to harm.
Yes.
You have to always listen to a human, and you can't do anything that would harm yourself.
Yeah.
Which is cool shit.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, perfect shit.
Yeah. This is like not important at all, but I did have. So when Will Smith goes to his grandma's house, and then she says, "When I was coming up, people didn't divorce somebody and just not talk to them." And I was thinking, so at first I was like, I mean, old ladies. It's weird for an old woman to have the viewpoint that not that divorce is bad, but that when you divorce somebody, you don't stop talking to them. But then I remember that it's set in 2035, so she's like 70. So I did some math. So I was like, if she's like 70, she would have been 25 in 1995. And so it actually does make sense that she would have that viewpoint.
Yeah.
That divorce is pretty normal and that you should have like a good relationship with your ex.
Right. Yeah. She's like a Gen Xer. She's like a modern woman.
She's only slightly older than us.
That is really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, a fun thing about her, it's weird to me to say Christianity is the lowbrow move, but the scene where she's like captured by the robot and like praying, and then while she's praying, the lights come on. That it feels like a very lowbrow thing of like just occasionally throwing in just like people praying and it like just by coincidence paying off. You do see that.
That's kind of like, I mean, Don't Look Up kind of did that.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, in a different way.
War of the Worlds, the one from the 50s, very famously does that at the ending. Is that like, the spoilers for War of the Worlds. The virus, the Martians all die of like diseases.
Yeah.
And it happens as they're like praying in a church. And like before the Martian can get to them as they're praying, like it dies.
Oh, well, I mean, that annoys me, but
it's
a very effective move for a movie to do to be emotionally effective, but I'm annoyed by it.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's weird for me to say Christianity is lowbrow, but
let's do it.
In this
lowbrow, highbrow, the Bible versus everything else.
I mean, we've talked about doing movies about like religious movies, like God's Not Dead versus like The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah.
But maybe like say season 2, maybe season 3. I don't know. Wrapping up a little bit. I like Irobot a lot. I think it's like if you're going to make a lowbrow version of this highbrow material, I think you could do a lot worse. I think this is pretty good. I think the action's good. I think the ideas are in there. I think it's mostly pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think it comes in real hot. I'd say the first 30 minutes is actually shaping up to be a much more interesting movie than it turns out to be. And then the rest of it's a silly action movie, and it's silly, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. I mean, I think. Yeah, good movie. I mean, I've told you, I have really fun memories of watching this one. Me and my dad and my brother just loved this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Got it on DVD. It was the first one me and my dad tested the new TV out on, and that's the TV I watched like all the movies when I was getting the movie. So Irobot holds a special place in my heart. Maybe gave it an extra star or a half on Letterboxd for that, but movie I like a lot. Ex Machina, clearly better. Ex Machina is
Ex Machina
is tremendous. It's great.
I'm going to have to watch it again. It's kind of, it feels like a movie that could be one of my favorite movies. Like I really, really like it. It's really crazy that I haven't seen it until now. And I feel bad.
Yeah. Now every time someone says you should see that, you'd be like, oh fuck, what if it's another Ex Machina situation?
No, but some of those movies, I know it is that.
Yeah.
I can't think of specifically which one it is, but there's a handful of them that I know I need to see.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a wrap on we'll do a game, but I guess, I don't know. I think these are cool. Like, I think this is a really good example of how you can do the same material, like pretty clearly highbrow, lowbrow, and
they're actually very close in terms of the material.
Oh yeah, and I don't know. Robots are cool, and like I said, if I watch AI and it's good, I'll bring it up as a rec. So I think Cooper, is your turn to quiz me.
I am.
We're playing a game.
We are playing a game. So
the game is.
So the game is where we find a list from somewhere on the internet, and then we do our best to try to get the other person to name the movies on the list.
Yep, and the list is usually always related to our theme.
Related to the movie in some way. In this case, the movie, much like last week, my methodology was I looked at Ex Machina on Letterboxd, and I clicked through the movie lists that it is in,
and
I got to I'm 16 and this is the greatest movie ever made.
I think I could list all of these just off the top of my head.
A list by Coffee on Letterboxd.
So we're just gonna do the first 10.
Yeah, there are 110 films on the list.
I still think that if you gave me 10 minutes, I could list every one of these movies.
Okay, wait.
I'm assuming these are very classic, that's some good Kino movies.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can name one. And you can...
Fight Club?
Yeah, Fight Club is number 10.
This is going to be great.
This is going to be quick.
It's going to be quick. Okay, yeah, but it's fun because I think Ex Machina does fit in that.
It really is in that.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is because this movie might be the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, I think the film pros don't have bad taste. They just have a very particular taste and won't shut up about it. But I love me some film
and
pros.
They're not always wrong.
No. All right. So that's 10. Fight Club off the board.
Okay. This movie it features video games prominently.
Oh, fucking, I don't know. Interesting.
But it is not based on a video game.
Not based on video game. Features video games.
Also features music.
Oh, you found a way. This is really throwing me. So, are they playing video games?
No, it has graphics that reference video games a lot.
Tron?
No, it is.
Can you give me a year?
It's got a famously nebbish lead actor. It is also about dating.
Is it her?
No.
What?
Okay, it's got graphics superimposed over people doing stuff that are video game references. It's got music. They are performers. They're in a band.
I am completely blanking on
It's a movie that I personally hate.
Give me a year.
2010.
Oh, is it Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah.
That is very tricky.
I think I gave you some pretty good hints on that.
No, you're right. This is on me that I see that movie as very much like an indie rock thing, and the video game thing threw me really quick. Even though it is obviously a video, everything you said was right. That one's on me. Scott Pilgrim fucking rules. I love that movie. Go on.
Okay,
I'm ready. I was ring rust. Now I'm ready. I'm gonna get them all.
Okay. This next one, famous dancing sequence.
That's it. That's all you're giving me.
I mean, I want to start easy because lots of stories.
Lots of stories. Famous dancing sequence.
Weird timeline. It's got a famous resurgence for an actor who is kind of on the ropes.
It's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
That would have been my. So if I was just going to guess the movies with no guesses, Fight Club and Pulp Fiction would be the first two.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. This is good.
Okay.
The clues are kind of weird and complicated, so I'm getting there.
Okay, this one features a plane crash prominently.
Oh.
In the end of the movie.
Oh, Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duh.
Okay.
Good movie? Question mark.
I don't know. I need to see it again
Been a
because
while.
it's that. I mean, that is. I think Donnie Darko is the ultimate. I'm 16 and this is the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it a lot when I saw it in high school, but I haven't seen it since.
I'm afraid to watch it because I loved it so much, and I remember it being good. I just have this little fear in the back of my mind that it can't be that good.
Well, it's interesting because apparently the director's cut is. There's people who like it, but it gets much more into the mechanics of what's actually going on, which I think is less interesting. I think that movie's more interesting when it's digging into how emotional it is. Like Southland Tales is like that, which is a movie I kind of ride for. That was his follow up, which that movie is fucking weird as shit. The movie actually makes no sense, but it's cool as shit.
Yeah, based on your recommendation, I need to watch it.
Yep.
Okay, this next one, I am going to list things that are prominently not featured in this movie.
Okay.
A giant squid monster.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the comic, there is a giant squid monster in the end. I actually like my hot take on Watchmen is that I like the way the movie ends better than the comic, but I haven't read the comic, and I like both of them.
Yeah. Did you watch the show?
No, I've heard it's very good.
Show's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget that Watchmen, the movie, has been sort of claimed by the film bros. Because, I mean, I saw it.
Oh, people like it again?
It's on this list.
Yeah.
I don't think people like it.
I think teenagers like it.
I think yeah, it's weird because when I saw it, I was I was so excited. I was such a huge fan of the comic. I saw it opening day, hated it. I was like, oh, that was dumb. And then I didn't think about it for 10 years. And then I turned around and people reference it as a good movie which kind of surprises me.
I mean, I think is that Zack Snyder?
Yeah.
I think he's kind of had a weird resurgence.
I do like Zack Snyder. I mean, I'll put it on record now. I think Sucker Punch is a masterpiece.
That is an insane take that you should be put to jail for.
I think people are going to come around to that movie.
Somebody needs to arrest you.
They can fucking try, but they'll have to tear my copy of. Actually, I don't own.
They'll
Sucker
have
Punch.
to.
Why don't I own Sucker Punch?
Because it's a bad movie, and it would be
movie.
Embarrassing for you to have that.
If there was ever
Your
any
girlfriend would break up with you, and I would support her, and I would be friends with her instead of you.
if there was like a steelbook, there's like a special like Sucker Punch edition. I would spend a lot of money on that. I think the movie is really, really brilliant in a really interesting and bizarre way, and that should be on this list. But go on, all right, Watchmen.
Okay. Oh God, I'm just so bummed out.
I'm not for the people listening at home. If you're still listening, I'm not doing a bit. I really think Sucker Punch is great.
Okay, people go to sleep a lot in this movie.
Inception.
Yeah,
cool. Again, another one I probably could have. Is Dark Knight the next? Is Memento and Dark Knight?
The next one is Dark Knight. Yeah.
Is Memento right after that? No. Is The Prestige right after that?
No. Okay. Hint for this next one. People go to sleep a lot in this one.
It's another one that people go to sleep in. Oh, fucking Interstellar.
No, it's more whimsical.
Okay, more whimsical.
Lots of hair changes.
Eternal Sunshine?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I really gotta go back.
That one really is good. It holds up.
Yeah.
Okay, this one, based on a book. The book has there's a lot of Russian dialogue in it. A lot of words that are borrowed from Russian.
Oh.
Very, very iconic makeup and costumes.
Russian words.
It is.
Is the movie is in English?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Can I get the decade?
1970s.
1970s.
Made
Clockwork
by,
Orange.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. This next one is one of the fucking coolest movies ever made.
Heat?
No, but yeah, that is not. I'm 16 and this is the greatest movie ever made. That's like I'm 55 and this is the greatest movie ever made. Heat is the first one, and Heat is great.
Yeah, it's Heat and Rotten Hunt for Red October. That's what that list is.
Yeah, I'm a dad and this is the greatest movie ever made. That probably exists on here somewhere.
I mean, that's the entire premise of the Rewatchables, the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. Lot of leather in this movie.
Matrix?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That one's really hard to just do some clues on because the Wachowskis have basically only done
so
Matrix.
Iconic.
Right? Everything about it's super iconic.
I don't know what a hard hint would be for that.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. Like
you can't say pills. You can't say
and all
computers.
All the actors are mostly known for that. Like Keanu is still mostly known for Matrix. I mean, he's got John Wick too. But if you said any of the actors, it would have been.
Well, because like I don't know, is there another Keanu movie that's I'm 16 and this is the greatest movie ever made? Because it's not
John Wick, kind of, but it's not the great. That wouldn't be the greatest movie.
No, because that's
made.
not like blows your mind as a 16-year-old. That's like awesome as a 16-year-old.
Right. But
I mean, I want to say Point Break, but no 16-year-old knows what Point Break is.
Right. That's mostly been like
I'm 55 and this is the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like I just watched Hot Fuzz and I'm going to watch Point Break now, and this is the greatest movie ever made.
Okay, so now we're gonna do, just for funsies, because we got through that list so fast, we're gonna do a 2-minute lightning round where I'm going to try to get you to guess as many of this 110 item list as possible on this.
Okay, ready to go.
Okay, it's based on a comic. It's super.
Dark Knight.
No, it's a Broyer comic. It's noir. It's a noir comic.
Oh, Sin City.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one, record scratch. You might wonder how I got here, but it's with mob guys.
Oh, Goodfellas.
Yeah. Okay, one of the best animes ever made. It's got a cool.
Akira.
Yeah. One of your favorite movies. It's about a dickhead. It's by Fincher. Or, sorry, it's not by Fincher. It's he makes fun of her for going to Brown.
Social Network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We covered it.
You, but not Brown. Go on.
Yeah, whatever. We covered it on the show. It's about drumming.
Whiplash.
It's about porn.
Boogie Nights.
It's about being a weenie and a girl leaves you and you're sad about it and there's a dance sequence. There's like a dance sequence where the main character has sex with the girl for the first time.
I don't know.
It's oh my god. It's got the adorable actress in it.
Oh fuck! Oh, 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Guy in a TV show.
Truman Show.
Yeah. It's not. It's not. It's not the Magnificent Blank. It's the blank.
Seven Samurai.
Yeah. It's a really late sequel to an actually good movie. It's got robots again.
Blade Runner for 2049.
Yeah. Guy fucking shoots people in the forehead with the thing. It sucks at that
No
guy.
Country.
Yeah. Okay. Guy gets fucking hammered in an elevator. It's really metal.
Hammered in an elevator?
Yeah. Not hammered like drunk, like you hit somebody with a hammer.
Oh, fucking Drive.
Yes.
I was thinking hammered like
Yeah,
drinking.
that makes sense. Okay. 6 Guns. What about 6 Guns?
Boondock Saints.
Yeah. Okay. Oh God. This is really I'm 16, the greatest movie ever made. Also a comic. The guy's got a dumb mask.
V for Vendetta.
Yeah. Okay. This one. Shit. Oh no. We're
time?
done.
Okay. That was great because every single time you were like, "Oh no," and your face would like contort into agony.
All right. Let me count these up. All right. You got 14.
14's pretty good.
Yeah. I guess we got 14.
We got 14 together.
We,
We achieved 14.
We got 14. Maybe we'll bring the sequence back. I don't know. I don't know if this is fun for other people. I had a great time.
No one listens to the end of the episode anyway. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Nobody, according to our Apple Podcast demographics, nobody has made it more than 20 minutes into any episode.
Although sometimes people text us that from things that are later. So maybe
It might be that not enough people have done it for it to give us demos.
that's true. Or they're doing it on like Spotify or something.
Yeah.
Let's do some recs. Get out of here. It was a good episode.
Yeah. So my rec is one of my favorite shows. It's You're the Worst. It's on FX. It's oh God, I'm forgetting I'm blanking on the writer. Oh, you're gonna hear typing.
Shape.
Type.
Clackety clack.
It's Stephen Falk. It's because I was looking on Google and it would not tell me the writer. It was telling me a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah,
about
Google
it.
hates writers. Go on.
I know. Yeah, it's a show run by Stephen Falk. It's got Aya Cash, Chris Gere, bunch of other people. It's about dating in LA as in your late 20s, early 30s, but they're kind of two horrible people who find each other and learn to have a modern relationship that doesn't meet everyone's expectations, and it's kind of just gets it what it's like to be a person dating in like now.
Yeah.
And it's also very, very funny.
Yeah. My recommendation is I recently got the Blu-ray of World of Tomorrow episodes 1, 2, and 3. World of Tomorrow is the short films, animated films by Don Hertzfeldt. I think we talked about them on a previous episode. But my recommendation is specifically for the Blu-ray collection of them all because it's episode 3 is fantastic. I'd only recently seen it. And it also comes out with some nice special features, including like a 10-minute video essay called On Memory about where Don Hertzfeldt kind of talked about why he became obsessed with memory, which is like the great theme of the World of Tomorrow shorts. Is like, what you think you remember versus what you actually remember and things like that. So I kickstarted it and I got it. And then as soon as I kickstarted, they're like, oh, it's just on Amazon. Anyone can get it. And it made me feel kind of sad that like the normies who didn't kickstart it can get this great Blu-ray, but
whatever, man.
If you normies out there, fucking get it. It's great.
I second it because I've seen World of Tomorrow 1 and 2. I saw 2 with you at that screening, and they're beautiful movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're short, right? It's like 15 minutes.
Yeah, the first one's 15. The second one's about 20. The third one is about 30 minutes. Third one very, very. I don't want to give away the third one because I do want you to watch it, but it takes a very different turn from the other two.
But I'd say you can watch the first one and you'll know if you're into it.
Yeah.
And you should be because it's beautiful.
Yeah. And that's all we got. That's a wrap on robots.
Yeah, please rate, review, and subscribe. And then also just if you want to help us out, you could if you like our show and you think you know somebody else who might like our show, just tell them about it. Send them a link.
Yeah.
But really, just if you actually think somebody will like the show, that'd be great. And then if you really, really like our show, maybe give us a repost or
a reshare
or a retweet or whatever the hell.
Yeah. Get it out there
because we're trying to get some people
get outside our normal bubble.
Yeah.
I think obviously we're leaning on the base right now, but we're gonna have to get new voters in too.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
And thanks so much for listening. This has been great. And
bye forever.